Perfect.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My special guest today, Charles Rosenay, Liverpool Productions, Liverpool Tours, unofficial ambassador to Liverpool. He's a producer also, an actor, an author, entertainer, humorist, and raconteur. He's written 4 pop culture books on horror movies, the Beatles, ghost stories, and the Turtles Band. He hosts and organizes the Magical History Tour to Liverpool for Beatles fans, Dracula Tours to Transylvania, and vampire-themed vacations to Romania. Um, he promotes an annual multi-band music festival, several paranormal conventions. We haven't even talked about that. We'll do that this segment here, and the Connecticut Witch Festival, the CT Witch Festival. He's one half of the ghost hunt team, the Shaman and the Showman. He runs an annual Halloween attraction aboard an antique trolley. He's an actor, like I said, in 20 plus horror films. So I looked up, I had to know what all these things, these great things you're doing. The Connecticut Witch Trials Festival. Do you want me
Yeah.
to tell them about it or would you like to tell us?
Well, let's just say that there were witch trials in Connecticut before they were ever in Salem, and they were atrocities. I mean, these people were innocent, and it's terrible what happened. So recently, they were absolved and exonerated in Connecticut, and there was never anything to honor the witches. And so Salem, you go to Salem, and it's the whole town is witch, 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 and this was our way of. I'd been doing the Dracula tours, doing the paranormal conventions. I even do a paranormal convention in Salem, Massachusetts. But I thought, yeah, it's history, but the way I combine history is on the Beatle tour, it's the Beatles old stuff plus the new stuff. When I do a Dracula tour, I'm combining the legend, the fiction of Bram Stoker's Dracula with the actual history of Vlad the Impaler. So I love that meshing of reality and truth and history with the stuff that is more modern. So with the Witch Fest, it was also doing that. It was honoring the people who were sadly, I want to say executed, or certainly if they weren't executed, they were said to be witches. They were imprisoned. All the horrible things that happened to them. So this is a way of honoring them. But it's also there's modern witchcraft that's cool too. There's people who are it's just fun stuff. We have like a guest who makes witches' brooms and another guest who tells the history. So it's all of the above in an outdoor festival. It's a free admission show, and it's in Hartford, which is one of the 3 cities where there was the big witch stuff that happened in Connecticut.
Do you get actual witches that show up or actual vampires? Or do you ever get scared by your audience or by your guests?
I think if you saw some of the people who show up at any of these events, whether it's a Comic-Con or a Beatles, you would be scared. But no, I mean it's like-minded people, and it's usually some of the best people on the planet are people who attend these festivals and conventions. And it's a lot of Wiccans, it's a lot of goths, it's a lot of people who just love spiritual stuff. It's really cool. It's a CT Witch Fest .com, and we took out the word trials because we don't want to celebrate the witch trials. We don't want to celebrate what happened. We want to celebrate the witches themselves. So it's CT Witch Fest. Took out the extra word.com.
The Shaman and the Showman,
Yes.
Connecticut-based paranormal investigation team led by Thomas Gormley. Any relation to Mike Gormley?
No, but
My,
this guy is ridiculous, Jeremiah. He's a true crimes expert, 40 years um, of private investigation and criminology and paranormal study. So I'm the personality. I'm the entertainer, and he's the shaman. He's the real deal. He'll go into a room and he'll know when there's spirits and if there's residual energy and all that stuff, which I'm learning more and more about. I've only been in this field for about 10 years, but the shaman and the showman is a kind of a way to make sure that people have their great investigations or attend a great event, but also have fun because that's, I got to make sure they're entertained. You're
Oh,
muted.
sorry, muted myself. I assume you're the showman in the group,
Yes.
in that duo. Um, have you been involved, or have you been in a room where there's paranormal activity, or have you felt scared at all, or do you have any good ghost stories for us?
Well, yeah, in my book, but I'm not.
By the book.
I'm not a medium, and I'm the first to admit I do not have that sixth sense, the third eye. I'm not an empath. I'm not a medium. I can't feel that. I can take great pictures though, because the rule of thumb is you take more than one shot between 3 and 20 of the same place where people are feeling energy or feeling colder or whatever. And most of the time you get nothing. I most of the time get something in my photos. So maybe that's my gift. But
Like a
no,
ring of light or something like that, or a spark, or what do you get in the photos?
well, on the cover of my book, this was a old opera house in Ansonia, Connecticut, which hadn't been. We brought a TV crew. We did a proper investigation. No one was allowed on the balcony on the upper part, and there was this one door where a light was shining through. And I
Hmm.
took a ton of pictures with a blank door, and in one picture there's a shadow figure. I had to put that on the cover of the book because that was
Yeah.
one of the most amazing of the shots I took. But yeah, other things like that where there's a glass pane behind somebody and there's eyes piercing through it. I've just had the luck of getting just the right pictures at the right time. But we do, bi-monthly, the Shaman and the Showman do every other month an investigation of a supposed reputed haunted location or places that no one's ever investigated before. And we get results. We'll bring 20, 30 people with us, and the people just come back again and again because they have such great experiences. And it's all part of a bigger branch, and the bigger branch is the main tree of the Paranormal Convention, which we do. And we have one coming up July 12th and 13th. It's Paracon, which is the original Connecticut Paranormal Convention, and it takes place every year in Connecticut, and the Shaman and the Showman produce that.
Do you still get scared?
I don't still get scared because I don't get scared.
Because you never really got scared, did you?
I don't. And maybe I
Not from
would
the.
if I saw spirits, maybe that would, scare me to stop doing this stuff. But it never, I don't get that.
Why do you love horror so much? Well, you act in all these horror in a lot of horror films, quite a few.
It's funny because my best role is probably non-horror. If you did the IMDb thing, I played Elton John on Flight of the Conchords. Patton Oswalt was the other Elton John. There were two of us, and that was on HBO. And some of my best work is non-horror, but I love the field. You give me a grade B, grade Z local horror movie. There's one that's just come out. It's called Halloween Candy. We're doing a screening of it in Connecticut next month, and I play. I don't know what I play. I get killed in it. That's all I remember. And you give me an opportunity to be in a horror movie and get killed. I'll take it. It's a quick shoot. It doesn't take me away from my 500 other projects, but I love being on the set and I love the process. And if you put me in a major film and I had to do 2 weeks of shooting, forget it. I could not do that. One of my favorite shoots was in the Rolling Stones film directed by Martin Scorsese, Shine a Light. And at the end of it, I'm an extra. I got to put a robe on Ron Wood as he walks off the stage. So I'm proud of my non-horror stuff too. But
Okay, we'll check those out too.
I can say I was directed by Scorsese.
Yeah, not too many people can say that. That's pretty cool. Well, is there a horror story in Connecticut specifically that is very famous? Is there one that comes to mind?
Yeah, yeah. Well, people ask is why is Connecticut, New England, why are certain places more haunted than others? And it's usually places that had war and casualties and brutalities, which we certainly had in New England. And we also took, land away, Native American land, which was probably very holy. And there's a lot of running water. All those three things legitimately lead to hauntings and energy and all that. There's this one area in Connecticut called called Dudley Town. And I heard of it growing up, and I'm like, okay, so I wasn't a paranormal investigator. There's no reason for me to go to a cursed land and a place where, there's devil worshiping and there's bikers who go there to do whatever illicit things they're doing, drug, whatever. But now that I'm in the paranormal world, people are saying, well, why don't you do an investigation of this Dudley town? So before I did the investigation, we researched it and find out that in the colonial days and in the times when we, won the war with England, they sent a lot of colonists. They sent a lot of people here, and they didn't always send their best people. They sent the people they wanted to get rid of. And one of these people, a family called the Dudleys, and they had their own area in Cornwall, Connecticut called Dudley Town, where they built homes and they lived. And you want to say they lived peacefully, and you want to say they lived happily ever after. It was just the opposite. They incest, and they started mutilating each other and killing each other, and they wound up killing themselves to the point that there was only ruins left of this Dudley town. And sure enough, that's the place, we earmarked as the most important place we had to go to. We're able to go there a few times and had the most amazing results there, including seeing shadow figures and including the one guy who I love talking about, who was the guy who was looking at his watch. When is this over? I'm only here for my girlfriend. I don't believe any of this. Get me out of here. And all of a sudden we're looking at him and we're pointing to him, and he goes, why are you looking at me? Because I'm the one who doesn't believe. Oh, no, we're looking at you because your hair is being pulled straight up in the air by some force that you, we all took pictures of him and showed him. And it was this amazing things happened at this Dudley Town. And there's chapters of Dudley Town in the book, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut. Just so happens that that's one of the great chapters in the book.
Go pick it up now.
Well,
All right, we're
John,
going to take our.
I got to share with you that there's every city has its, ghost stories of, of Ohio, of Wisconsin, of wherever. But those tell the history of the place and maybe why it's haunted. My book tells what happened when actual people went to this place and what they experienced. So it's a little different and a little more special. And the fact that it's of Connecticut doesn't matter. If you love true ghost stories and you want to hear some spooky encounters, the book is just, I love it and I'm really proud of it.
Monsters, celebrities, actors, athletes, and rock stars, the book of top 10 horror lists.
Yeah.
Get a signed copy, go to bookoftop10horrorlist.com. It's also available, as everything is, on Amazon. And coming up, Paranormal Convention, July 12th to the 13th, 2025. Go to paraconn.org for tickets and more information. And mark your calendars. Get your ticket to go overseas October 28th through November 4th. DracTours.com. That one sounds fun to me. I'd like to do that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the Beatles and I'm going to go to that one. Those two appeal to me for some reason. We will be right back with more Charles Rosenay.